This is your tale of the tape. Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus your Virginia Cavaliers.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I am your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to the Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, the first place to come to get your Wahoo fix every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, the date is 2/18/2023, and our title sponsor today is FanDuel. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. All right, man. So this is the tale of the tape for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the University of Virginia. And quite frankly, it should be much to do about nothing. But with these Wahoos, or we like to call them here in Virginia, the cardiac calves, just can't put anybody away the way that we think that they should be put away. We're looking at a team that struggled mightily against a lowly Louisville Cardinal team, which by all intents and purposes, by numbers, was quite frankly the worst ACC team in like history, or one of the bottom three teams ever in history by all of their metrics, scoring, win percentage. They're like they've only won one game in the conference, and they're like 3 of 23 or 3 of 22 before that game against the University of Virginia. But one thing about that team, I will have to say, they were on the move. They were coming. Louisville was, and they're, starting to kind of figure out how their talent, they're finally meshing, and getting their talent together, and kind of figuring out how they're going to play together. Sure, it's at the end of the year, but better late than never. But Virginia almost got caught in that trap, and they're definitely one of those teams where they could play a little bit of a spoiler. I think they're going to win a couple, 2 or 3 more games. Could be 3. We have, 5 or 6 games left now, in the season. And I know they gave us hell. I know they gave a couple teams before us hell as well. So they really are looking to break some hearts, and upset some seedings, or maybe even knock some folks out of the March Madness tournament. But big game today. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are coming to town to grace us, in the JPJ. Now, the JPJ, of course, I wonder how the atmosphere is going to be. Will it be totally hyped? Will it be kind of subdued, based off of the opponent? Coming off of a 61-58 win off of Louisville. I know that Duke game, that there's really no substitute, for a Duke Virginia basketball game at home. And every Duke game I've been to, it's been absolutely pandemonium. And it's the loudest that I've seen, louder than North Carolina, even louder than Virginia Tech. In my opinion, I just think that Duke just has the villain factor going on. There's a lot of things going on with them, but let's see how the JPJ stacks out. Of course, the game today, the number 7 Virginia Cavaliers play Notre Dame at noon. All right, 12 noon on ESPN2. So make sure, as I say before, grab your beverage of choice, get your snacks. Get ready to rock and roll, because we're looking at a Notre Dame team who's really trying to come in here and upset University of Virginia. Maybe a lot of teams feel like Virginia is ripe for the picking right now because they're going through a transition. A lot of times, you may not get the team that you want until later in the season because you're going through so many transitions. This is definitely a a period that UVA is going through that's a little different for me. Usually, Tony Bennett has his team set, and I'm not talking about like substitution wise. Yes, Tony Bennett usually keeps a tight ship when it comes to substituting his players. Usually, it's about a 7-person, 8-person rotation off the bench. But as far as what type of team it is, we're still up in the air. Nobody really knows, in my opinion, right now. I think that the way that they won last game against Louisville was totally different from how they won the previous game. And then the previous game from that, they won a different way. Louisville, they could not. They scored when they needed to. They stopped shooting jumpers when they realized that the jumpers weren't working outside of Amon Franklin and Isaac McNeely. So they started driving to the bucket, getting fouled, getting closer shots to the basket, which is a new thing for the University of Virginia, in my opinion, to be able to switch themselves or switch their style in the middle of the season. Actually, we're the third, entering the third, the last third of the season, and they're doing things that I really didn't expect for them to do. And then you talk about, the game before when they did play that Duke team, shot in the 20s and for 3-point percentage, low 20s, and they shot in the 40s for free throws against Duke. Excuse me. Yeah, high 40s, low 50s against Duke from the free throw line. Just total misfires by the University of Virginia's basketball team. You usually don't see that from them. So where are they now? They got Notre Dame coming in, and Notre Dame, these guys can shoot the three. We've got to be careful in playing this squad. And they have some folks out there, who can really hurt you from multiple positions. And we're going to have to speak about that in a minute. But before we get into that, the midway point of the NBA season is here and now. Is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back for the first bet that doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sports app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you bet on everything from a money line to point scorers, and threes drained. It's a great opportunity, to really try to earn some cold hard cash, especially if you're one of these people who feels like you have a hunch on what may happen, for some games. It's finally legal to do it in the state of Virginia. Go ahead out there and try it. They have player props, player points, rebounds, assists, etc., and so many more exclusive bets like 2x3, 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance for a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. But yeah, give yourself an opportunity. You may earn some cash Of course, this is bracket season. All right, they're putting the brackets together right now. They're cooking them up in the back. Okay, make sure you, as they would say back in the day, Mike and Mike, your sheet of integrity. Get your sheet of integrity together and put your best efforts forward. You could win some cold hard cash, of course. This is like the last big bet or big betting opportunity to really jump in and get a lot of bets at one time, on college basketball, with all the brackets. But yeah, back to UVA and Notre Dame. Virginia right now 20-4. Won their 20th game against Louisville. Louisville, of course, gave them a go, but getting that 20th win is a big deal. UVA is trying to run the table. You're talking about 5 more games, including this one. You got Notre Dame, you got North Carolina, Louisville, Clemson, and I'm missing one. But yes, those games right there, they just have to figure it out right now. And I think they can. I think they can definitely pull out the victory against all of these teams, but they got to play a consistent style of basketball. We don't know. What we don't know about this team. We usually know that, okay, they're going to be a good free throw shooting team. Not the case recently. We also figure, all right, cool. They're going to be able to shoot open three-pointers. Not the case, man. And it hasn't been the case for the last few years. This year we thought we had something. The guys were shooting pretty well. And, they're still shooting 38%, which is good for a team. But one of the three-point shooters, Reese Beekman, has kind of gone into the tank, when it comes to shooting threes. And, Bennett Vanderplas can be up and down, but when he's up, the team seems to do really well. Kihei Clark, just being consistent, doing what he has to do, to continue to motor this team forward, playing his best basketball as a Wahoo. And we're talking about also Omaha Franklin, who, for the most part, has been consistent and been really, really tough in being the scoring threat that he needs to be. Jaden Gardner, a little bit, has showed that he can be somewhat of the go-to guy that he was last year. He's been a little bit up and down lately as well, but does show that he can put up 20 points a game and get 7, 8, 9 rebounds a game as well. So it's not consistent anywhere around. That's one thing about having a lot of players who can score. You talk about your starting 5 of Kihei Clark, Reese Beekman, Omaha Franklin, Jaden Gardner, Bennett Vanderplas. All of those guys can get you double figures. They almost average double figures as a starting 5, believe it or not. So, you really just got to go with the hot hand. I think that's what Tony's trying to do. Then you got guys coming off the bench, who can really light it up. A guy like Isaac McNeely, who is pretty much their dead-eye three-point shooter on the team, and he can come in. He can get you 7, 8, 9 points as well. I think he's averaging about 7 or 8 points right now, and that's 2 or 3 3-pointers a game, 2 to 3 3-pointers a game off of like 5, 6 shots. So the kid is putting together a good resume for a true freshman for Tony Bennett and a Virginia basketball team that usually doesn't use true freshmen. Then, of course, I cannot leave out the energy man, the spark, he turns the momentum changer. That's what his name is. I'm going to have to write that down. Ryan Dunn. He's the momentum shifter. And when Ryan Dunn comes in the game, he will shift the momentum with a dunk, a defensive stopping play, fast break, whatever. Ryan Dunn, he's one of my favorite players to watch on this team because you never know when he's going to be, when he's going to put a highlight together on SportsCenter, for ESPN, because he's a high flyer, he's a rim rocker, and he's just a special player as a true freshman. And I'm just excited to see where we go from here. But let's get into more of the tail of the tape. One thing about Notre Dame you'll notice, well, first of all, their record 10-16, 2-13 in the ACC. UVA 20-4, 12-3 in the ACC. One thing you notice about both of these teams are very similar in the way that their pace of play. They both have a very slow pace of play. They're very close in how many possessions they get, and how fast they play. So that's something that you really need to be aware of. We're not looking at a track meet, with this team. So that's the kind of team that scares me because they could get UVA in trouble. Because once UVA starts to go into one of their lulls or one of their droughts, a team like this who plays with the same kind of pace of play, and they are a good 3-point shooting team. A few of their players are. So, it could get dicey nowadays. Also, turnover ratio. They are one of the better teams in turnover percentage, offensive turnover percentage, meaning they don't turn the ball over a lot, just like UVA. And to be frank, they're the only team in the ACC that is better than Virginia in turnover percentage for the offense. Now, think about that. They turn the ball over percentage-wise less than Virginia does. So you can't really make any mistakes against this team. All right? You got to play defense, and they shoot their threes. They make their threes. You have to close out hard. This is what do we got about an hour left here before we get to this game. So, yeah, there's no looking back, turning back now. This team, they need these 5 wins. And I'm calling it right now. I mean, let me see here. I know I'm getting notifications here and there about the game. I was looking forward to see if all the players were okay. One player I did have in mind that I was worried about is Reese Beekman. Reese still don't look right to me. Reese has looked like he's maybe he's laboring a little bit, again, but he always looks like he's laboring in one way or another. But today, of course, they got Notre Dame. Next game is Boston College. That was the one that I was missing. BC on Wednesday, and that's a 7 p.m. game. The game after that's a huge game against North Carolina on Saturday, the 25th. I'll be in the building for that. That's a 6 p.m. tip-off. That's going to be all over ESPN and promoted, especially if UVA pulls off these 2 wins like they should, going into that game with 22 wins. And then the other big game right after that, which they double back and they turn right back around and they play on Tuesday night against Clemson, who really has been running and leading the ACC for most of the year. Not even past, for the most of the year until these last few games where they have stumbled. But Clemson still is in the mix. Don't think that they're not. They have an opportunity to get at it, and that's going to be in the JPJ as well. That's the last day of February, and that's a 7 p.m. tip-off on Tuesday. Then they got Louisville again. Louisville, who showed that they're not to be fouled with. Even though they're a team that's, they only won 1 conference game, UVA almost gave them another one. So, yes, Louisville is a different team. But the thing about it, they come to the JPJ this time, and that'll be a Saturday, March 4th game as well. Time for tip-off will be determined. And then after that, we get into conference ACC conference tournament play. So, and that's the following week. And then, of course, the game is Saturday. So, the championship game Saturday. So, and of course, Selection Sunday is March 12th. But I'm looking forward to seeing where this team goes. Let me give you some more tail of the tape for points per game and stuff like that. So, just to give you an idea how many points, UVA's average right at about 70 points a game. When they hit 70 points, that's a magical number. I believe they're undefeated. I may have to get my stats guy on that, but they're an undefeated team when we're talking about, University of Virginia hitting that 70-point mark. Also, keep in mind, right now, UVA, their average is 69.6. That's the average. Notre Dame is averaging 70.7. That's some points per game they're averaging. Points against, UVA is giving up 60.3 points, and Notre Dame's giving up 70.2. That's a -2 points per game that they're giving up. Also, we got the turnover percentage, what I was talking about, which I think could be a real factor today. UVA is number 8 in the country when it comes to turnover percentage, like how well they take care of the ball on offense. Notre Dame is number 2 in the nation. So let's not sleep. They take care of the ball. They get almost everything that they can get out of the of a possession every time they come down to try to score. Field goal percentage, UVA shooting 50.8%. Notre Dame is 51.3%. So they put it up and fill it up. 3-point percentage, UVA shooting 37.6%. Notre Dame shooting 36.7%. So they can shoot that three like UVA does. So let's not let's not overlook this team. This is a team that I feel plays similar to UVA as far as pace of play. They don't turn the ball over. They take care of, or try to get the most out of their possessions. They will rebound the ball as well. And, some of these players, let's get into some of the players for Notre Dame. Nate Lezowiski, the big man, he's the center. If you remember the center for Boston College, how the center for Boston College really started to go to work on UVA, and the guy was hitting all kinds of shots. He was shooting threes. He just had a complete game. I'm surprised there are no pro scouts here. If this guy plays like this, for his entire year, but they have the same kind of a big man. He can shoot threes. He can play down low some. He rebounds. He's averaging 14.5 points. Nate Lezowiski, 7 rebounds and 1 assist a game. So you got to watch out for him. Then, of course, their forward, Dane Goodwin, who put up 20-plus points the last game that he played, averaging 12 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. Then, of course, the guard, Cormac Ryan, averaging 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. They got some guys who can score. They can put up some points. The difference is UVA, their scoring is a little bit more spread out. You're looking at Jaden Gardner averaging 11.3 points, 4.9 rebounds, 1.1 assists. Amon Franklin averaging 12.8 assists, 4.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists. That's their top scorer. Amon Franklin's their top scorer. Quite frankly, they just need him to keep shooting, keep making his buckets. At least, be a threat. Because when he's a threat, one thing I've noticed about him, and he's doing really well, is he's driving to the bucket. He's not settling for that 3-point shot sometimes. He's really driving to the bucket. Now, whether he's going to do well with it is, when it gets there, is another story. But one thing I have noticed is he's getting fouled a lot more. That's what we want. That's what you need, especially during tournament time. You're going to go through droughts. Lord knows Virginia goes through droughts, at the most inopportune time. But they still can pull games out, but they got to hit those free throws. Free throws have been the bane of the existence of this team for this last 3-4 game stretch here. They've got to hit their outside shots, and if they're not hitting their outside shots, it is a must that they have to hit their free throws. So let's keep going. Reese Beekman averaging 9.7, 3.1 rebounds, and 5 assists. We got to keep an eye on him. I wonder where Reese is right now in his process, his injuries process right now. And then, of course, you got the general. Kihei Clark, 11.7 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 5.9 assists, playing his best game as a Wahoo in his career. Also, Kihei's the most decorated, meaning playing time for the University of Virginia. Actually, in the ACC, no one has played more games than Kihei Clark. Shout out to Kihei, man. Just Keep grinding, young man. You're doing your thing. We're proud of you out here. And, you still see your development. You're still coming along. And the man has a ring. But things to watch out for, 3-point shooting from the Irish. They also have to make sure, as far as UVA goes, make their free throws because this team is not going anywhere, and it's going to be hard to shake them because UVA plays and Notre Dame, they play at a similar pace of play. So blowing them out, is kind of dicey. It's kind of difficult to do that because you just don't get enough possessions out there, and they're not going to push the pace either. So look for another close game. Prediction for the score, I'm looking at 65-60. UVA wins. They continue, their streak of winning, and actually it'll be their 11th out of 12 games. That they can win if they win this game. That's what it would be. So let's see how this team goes, guys. But I'm just looking forward to this game. We got about an hour before tip off. Get there, get your beverage of choice, get your snacks, and I'll see you there. Hang out and watch me on YouTube, and also check me out on Odyssey and all the other streaming platforms. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button for all the social medias, and you'll get me every time I go live. But I got to thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear your big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. This is Big Law, and these are always available anywhere you get your YouTubes and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, guys. Wahoo, go Wahoos.